Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories. If you do love a relationship story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's dive straight in to today's first story. And this story does come with an update from a throwaway account titled Husband 28 Male Asks Me 27 Female for a Separation. We both agree the end goal is to reconcile. It's a very long story, but basically, like the title says, my husband of 2 years has asked for a separation. We have a young daughter. She was not planned, but we love her to pieces, who is turning 2 soon. We were together for 6+ years before I got pregnant with her. We got engaged and married, and then I had her. I guess he feels like we rushed into things, but I feel like we were going to end up married either way. This just kind of put us on the fast track. He recently got a job in his hometown. I was under the impression I was making this move with him. I went on a business trip, and over the trip I found out he has rented a house without telling me and is moving out. He plans to see my daughter every other weekend. I have to now move back in with my parents and try to pull my shit together and make a life here. We had occasional arguments, but never anything I thought was earth-shattering. Certainly not something I thought was worth divorcing over. He has mental health issues. I fiercely believe he is bipolar, but he refuses help. He's a great dad and my best friend. He says this is a separation to become a better father and husband, but I am terrified he will decide to make it permanent. He says he loves me and wants to be with me in the end, but things have to change in our relationship. I want to believe him, but I'm so scared and confused. There is obviously a ton of other details I have to leave out for the sake of time, but basically he is starting a new life and job, which we thought we were coming along for. Until a couple of days ago, he decided to let me know that while I was on my work trip, he felt happier alone when I was gone and it was just him and our daughter. Yet he is still saying he wants to be with me. I am obviously beyond devastated and I just want some advice. He is saying he wants to separate for now, but is hoping to reconcile once he gets his shit together. Has anyone here separated and got back together? I've read that sometimes separating can be the best thing for a marriage. No previous infidelity on my side or his, by the way. Also, I do not think anyone else is in the picture. He is not the type to cheat. I asked him several times and he swears up and down that this separation is because he's unhappy with himself and it has nothing to do with someone else. He also says I'm a great partner. He couldn't find anyone better for him than me, etc. I just don't understand why he's doing this and destroying the family and life we have. I think he's making a huge mistake. Edit, and sorry for using my daughter. I'm fully aware she is as much his as she is mine. And that post there I found after I read the post that I was originally going to be reading first, which is coming up next, if that makes any sense. So I thought I'd come back and edit it in because I think it gives some background information on how OP was feeling and a bit of build up to the next section that happens. So we're going to go straight in to that next section, which is titled My 29 male, soon to be ex-husband seems to feel entitled to another chance with me, 28 female. My husband and I have been together almost 8 years, married for 2.5 of those. Last May, we separated seemingly overnight. He left me and our toddler and moved back to his hometown. There was never a solid reason given, just that he felt we should never have gotten married. In July, he changed his tune and wanted to be a family again. He was still at his job in his hometown, so I decided I would ride it out at my job in a different city for a couple of months to build my resume and then start looking for other jobs in his hometown. After 6 months of a brutal commute, taking care of our child during the week by myself and driving to his hometown every weekend, interviewing, basically bending over backwards, I finally landed a great job in December. A week before I was to move into the new house we were buying together and start my new job, I found out he had been having an affair. He begged and pleaded for me to stay with him, said he'd break off all contact, and I foolishly agreed to give him another chance. 2 days later, while I was back in the different city and completed my last week of work at my old job, he unblocked her on everything and liked her pictures on Instagram. I was devastated. On top of that shit show, he kicked me out the house we were supposed to move in together, and I had to find a new place to live 2 days before starting my new position. We have lived separately ever since. He has said and done so many hateful things in this time period and said so many times that he wants a divorce that I've lost count. Up until a month ago, he was still maintaining contact with her. I saw her car at his house, took pictures for the lawyer, etc., and he admitted he had been talking with her still. I stopped doing the pick me dance about a month ago and stopped reaching out to him besides contact about our child. Now he has suddenly changed his tune and is desperate to get me back and will do anything. He has unfollowed her on everything, unliked all her pictures, tells me not to give up on our family. I've moved on. I'm not interested in pursuing another relationship with him. He's hurt me deeply and I feel like I've been fucked over by him so many times that I've lost count. How can I tell him there isn't a chance without sounding like a completely heartless person? I still want to be able to maintain a strong co-parenting relationship with him, so I am friendly to him, but he seems to take that as I want him back. I've relayed to him my feelings, but they fall on deaf ears. He says he will never stop trying to get our family back together and does not want a divorce. I do. Does anyone have any advice? Edit to add, just to show the kind of person he is. When I asked him about the reason for his sudden change of heart, he said it was because I seemed stronger. Ah, the irony. Honestly, a big thank you to the prick for yanking the rug under my feet not once but twice, because I truly have realized how much better I can do and how I don't need anyone but myself to have a happy life. And we have a couple more edits and an update in a minute that we're going to cover after the comments. But firstly, I think you need to drop that you're feeling like a heartless person. He's the one that's caused this. He's the one that's broken up your relationship. This is on him and not you. So you're not being heartless in the situation. Your feelings are completely valid in this. Whilst at the same time, I do understand that you do want to build a good co-parenting relationship because you want your child to be happy as well. But to me, he needs to respect that, you've moved on from this. And if he doesn't and keeps trying to win you back or whatever he's trying to do here, he just needs the ultimatum that, he either drops that shit and you build, like you said, a good co-parenting relationship, or you just be done with him completely and that's it. But Olivia says you are not heartless for being direct about your feelings, and even if you were, why would you be so careful about his feelings when he cares so little for yours? You need a lawyer to come up with a custody agreement. You do not need to be friendly with him to co-parent effectively. You just need to be cordial and not disparage him in front of your child. Lou says and quotes, "My ex feels entitled to a relationship with me." Filed under, how awesome for him. See also, no is a complete answer. You're concerned about appearing like a heartless person to someone who not only acted heartlessly towards you, but abandoned your child. Stop giving consideration and concern to people who've gone out their way to give you neither. Here's what you tell him. Trust is one of the most important aspects of a relationship, and you have destroyed my ability to ever trust you. There can be no more chances because there is no more trust. If you want to prove yourself trustworthy, do it by being a good father and prove it to our child, because the only future relationship we have is co-parents. CZ says and quotes, "How can I tell him there isn't a chance without sounding like a completely heartless person?" And then goes on to say, "Why does it matter to you if his feelings are hurt by how you phrase this? You gave him multiple chances and he's proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that he can't be trusted again." Some part of him understands this. Just be firm about what you have to say and don't engage him if he asks for another chance. No is a complete sentence. Pink Ninja Cow says, "Just remember this. What would you tell your daughter if she was married and her husband acted like yours? He's right, you are stronger. Show your daughter how a man should treat his wife. My mummy used to say, you don't come from a broken home, it was broken and I fixed it." And Polo Forever says, "I bet you the only reason why his tune changed is because he realized there won't be anyone waiting around for him anymore. Don't feel like you have to play nice because of your child. Get a lawyer to draw up a divorce and custody agreement and have his lawyer talk to your lawyer." Now we have the second edits before the updates. Seriously, thank you to everyone who has read my story and commented. You have no idea how much has helped me to focus on myself and realize I need to stop considering the feelings of someone who has no consideration of mine. I only hope that anyone who is in a similar situation realizes that you can and do move on. And I promise that you will feel like a 10,000-pound weight has been lifted off of your back. Third edit. He's being served papers in the next 1 to 2 weeks. Guarantee the "I've changed" mask slips off. I hope I'm wrong, but I've learned all too well that my gut feelings are usually spot on. Hopefully, I'll be back with an update in a few months with the good news that the split is official. So now we're going to jump straight into that update. Well, turns out my gut instincts were right. The entire time he was begging for another chance and promising this time would be different. Eye roll. He was still sleeping with the affair partner and telling him he loved her and would do anything to make it work with her. It didn't even hurt me to find it out. I was that unsurprised. It just helped me stop feeling guilty. I divorced his ass. I thank the universe every day that he is no longer connected to me in a romantic way. It feels like an enormous weight has been lifted off of my shoulders. Shortly after my original post, I met someone by chance at a wedding and fell in love. The person is everything my ex-husband was not. The kindness, compassion, and respect they show, not just me, but to my daughter as well, is like something from a dream. I never knew love could be so easy. To anyone in a loveless marriage reading this, leave. Do the hard thing, especially if they have a pattern of leaving, returning, and cheating, etc. Lord knows I was terrified to cut the cord. At one point in time, I was actually starting to feel bad for the guy because he was begging me every single day for another chance. He tried to convince me that getting a divorce would ruin my future, our daughter's future, that she would come from a broken family. But it was the exact opposite. It was broken already and I fixed it. Once I made up my mind that divorce was the best option, I absolutely thrived. I learned independence. I found out how to be happy on my own. I found happiness in a partner. Life has never been so sweet. The bad shit makes the good shit so much better. Thank you Reddit for the support on my original post. It helped turn my graveyard into a garden. It was the attempt at the manipulation tactics in the middle there as well, where it said he tried to convince me that divorce would ruin my future, our daughter's future, and that she would come from a broken family. Now, what do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to another story. And our next story comes from a throwaway account that says, found out that my female 22 boyfriend male 23 who recently graduated with his masters has been cyberbullying a friend for not going to college. My boyfriend Eric graduated with his masters in the spring and had a party to celebrate in the summer. He's hoping to be a teacher after attaining his master's degree, and I graduated with my bachelor's recently. We've been dating for almost 3 years after meeting in college, but when I stumbled upon something that I brought to his attention, he made me out to be the enemy for being untrustworthy and not on his side. Eric is involved in a few roleplay groups on Twitter and has a few accounts that portray various media characters. He's also into D&D, but writing stories for the roleplay group is his hobby, and while I'm not part of the group, I follow the accounts and sometimes keep up with his storylines. However, he made an account that roleplayed one of our friends, an account that I wasn't supposed to find, but ended up stumbling upon it because one of his other accounts followed it. Long story short, there was a guy named Evan who is in his D&D group, and Evan would often invite his younger brother, Todd, to play along. I've played D&D with a group a few times, and Todd would often bring it to life by drawing characters and whatever my boyfriend would imagine, and I always thought it was cool. Evan came from a military family where both of his parents served, but he went to college. Todd wanted to serve following his high school graduation, but Eric would try to convince him to go to school instead and believe that an education would be better in the long term. However, Todd still wanted to go into the service upon graduation, so he would talk to Evan to get him on his side. But Evan reinforced that the choice is ultimately Todd's and that there are benefits to both college and military, so neither of them would be a bad choice. However, when an injury would prevent him from being able to join the service, Eric believed that he would opt of college like Evan, but he decided to do an internship through a connection his father had instead, and that would lead to what happened recently. Eric made a Twitter that impersonated Todd, but unlike his roleplay accounts, he had actually made it look like Todd's actual account and used it to make fun of him. He downloaded photos of Todd and used them to make memes that degraded him for not going to college, some calling himself stupid or wanting hand-me-downs, to name a few. And he also made posts about Evan and his family, which led me to wanting to talk to him. When I told him what I saw, I asked why he thought it was appropriate to do that, to which he said that everyone sucks up to military families and that they get a pass for being a word we won't say, and that Todd got what he deserved with his injury. He also said that they are poor enough to probably get free college and that it proves that he was right all along. But when I told him that I couldn't believe what he was saying, he said, "What do you expect?" and that he's going to be a teacher who obviously prioritizes education. But he didn't stop there. He also said that I was being inconsiderate because he has ADHD and uses Twitter to vent his feelings. But I told him that's not an excuse for what he did and that he should take it down. But he refused and told me to mind my own business. We've argued before, but he's never told me off like this until then, and said that venting on Twitter helps him be a better person in real life because it drains his frustration. When he talks to Evan at D&D, he'll speak his opinion, but never as rudely as I found on Twitter. But finding this account was like finding a different side of him, and after I found it, he became really defensive, and told me that he didn't want me following his roleplay accounts anymore. But I've been reconsidering our relationship after this because he thinks it's right and is still upset at me while still making new posts. I'm considering breaking things off, but I'm afraid that he'd do something similar to me after finding his new method of venting. At the same time, I don't care if he does it to me, but I want to ask if anyone's ever dealt with anything similar and how to handle distancing from someone like him who uses social media to do what he did. Like he said that he went to the account of Todd's family to get photos from there too. And I'm afraid that he'll harass the accounts of people close to me, which is why I'm also thinking about safeguarding myself from that too. Aside from what I'm thinking, is there anything else I should consider before telling him my plans to make sure I am safe? So this is someone who's going to be a teacher and is choosing to bully someone. Wowee, that is extremely worrying to me. And I don't blame you for questioning your relationship about this either. It must be incredibly scary to find out, your partner has this whole other side to them, that they're going online, role-playing, air quotes, another human, and then saying like derogatory things about them, bullying them. And I wonder if Todd knows about this and what is going to happen in this update. Is OP going to take it further? But Machiavelli says he wants to go into teaching. What's going to happen when a student of his wants to serve in the military? Will he relentlessly bully them too? Please don't stay with this man. Bullying is one of the worst forms of psychological torment, and the fact that he chooses to do it online anonymously is very telling. Imagine if Todd was your kid. Would you want him to berate your son for wanting to join the military? This sucks beyond belief, but he is not a good person. OP replies saying not only that, but he also downloaded photos of Todd's relatives from their socials and uploaded them to make fun of them too, for no reason, saying that his self-diagnosed ADHD is why he made the account to vent anonymously online where it doesn't hurt anyone, so he can be more even keel in real life. Then he had the nerve to say that I was making fun of his mental health by telling him that he was wrong. Macadufan says he just not only refused to take down a post meant to degrade and bully his friend, but he doesn't see anything wrong with that. And what the fuck? With a master's degree, you'd think he'd be a little smarter than to try and use ADHD to, I guess, justify it. Even though there is nothing wrong with it. Yeah, drop this fool. Wooster182 says he's a bully. He uses slurs, he's a snob. I can tell you for a fact he's going to be a bad teacher if he only values people who decide to get an education that he deems worthy. If the biggest reason you would stay with someone is that you're afraid he's going to bully you if you leave, you need to run. Block him on everything. He's an idiot. It doesn't matter what his opinion of anyone is. Snowman says, your boyfriend is insane. Have you let Todd know he's being impersonated online? You should tell him so he has the opportunity to press charges if he likes. This is crossing several legal barriers depending on your local laws. And OP replies saying, I was considering sending him a photo proof and was probably going to do so after he told me off and everything and refused to take it down, and also made new posts on that account since we talked. Like, we live in the US, so could he pursue it legally? He also downloaded photos from the relatives of Todd from their socials to make fun of them when he doesn't even know them. So now we're going to move on to that update to see what that says. Update. After we talked that night, I planned to tell him that I wanted a break, but I didn't want to say it without preparing for him to potentially do the same to me on Twitter. So after taking the advice of a lot of people, I decided to tell my family and relatives about how he'd gone on a rampage of downloading photos of Todd's family and relatives and advised them to make their accounts private or block him. And a lot of them were really thankful that I told them. The main reason I did was because Eric downloaded photos of minors who were related to Todd, and I didn't want him doing the same to my family and making memes out of uninvolved people. I also spoke to Evan and showed him what had happened, and he was really upset and said that his parents were going to call the school that Eric's interning and subbing at and let them know of what he's been doing to not only Todd but also to minors in their family who he downloaded images of. He also said that he and his parents went to the police to address it, but as of writing, the account of Todd that Eric made is still somehow up and not yet deleted. And maybe it's because Eric made the account private after our initial conversation, but I don't know. I gave them all of my screenshots, but as of now, nothing has happened. Evan's parents also told and showed the school what happened, but he is still employed in subbing at the moment. And Evan said they were having a hard time proving the account was Eric's, although they are still trying to get it taken down. He also has relatives who are complaining to the school too, about photos Eric downloaded of them and their children, but almost a month later, nothing has happened yet. After talking to Evan and my family, I told Eric that we were done. But he began making posts about me on one of his roleplay accounts and how I was apparently cheating on him and trying to start rumors. And I screenshotted what he posted, but still nothing has happened. He also started posting about some prescriptions I've taken that I've never told anyone besides my family. But my relatives have been supportive throughout. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't hurt. He's also started posting memes about me too, and I have a record of all of it. And I'm hoping that with time and all of the people and relatives reporting that something can happen soon. But I'm slightly surprised nothing has happened yet. Lastly, I want to say that this whole thing has shown a side of him that I've never really seen before. Like we've argued, but stumbling across this account and what he uses to vent and cope with ADHD just made him so aggressive because he said that it was as if I'm removing an inhaler from someone who needs it. When we talked that night and he got so defensive, that's what he compared it to. Me, making fun of people with special needs, as he's also posted about, and that's where I am now. I feel like I've done almost as much as I can, and waiting is hard. So if anyone has any advice on how to push through this time with an ex who's trying to destroy everyone I know, I would really appreciate it. But it's hard right now, and I'll end with this. He's also gone about posting images of me too, but nothing explicit as we've never taken those. However, he started posting photos of me when I was in high school and in dance and making degrading comments about my body. And I've taken screenshots of those to the police too, as I'm still awaiting to see what happens. I've been told that it can be a process, but that has hurt the most and is what I'm trying to push through. And if anyone has any advice on how to get past a toxic ex who goes to such measures, I would really appreciate it because right now it's really hard. I'm hoping something happens soon, but maybe it's just a process. But I could just use all the advice I could get. And that is where that one ends. And I really hope that we get another future update to find out something that does happen about this. And I've heard a few stories about cyberbullying before and heard it can be, like OP said, a lengthy process just because gathering the evidence can be difficult with some of these social media companies. But what do you guys make of this one? I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Would you have any advice about this particular situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Now, a huge thank you for spending the time with me today, getting involved. Your love, support, time, everything you do is absolutely amazing. And I know I say it every single time, but I just have to say it because I really, really do appreciate you. Thank you so much for what you do, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.